So in this video, I want to spend a few minutes talking about a used pen and pencil set I picked up recently. I haven't been able to find too many good used pen lots lately, but I have been on the hunt for some pens and pencils, as you might imagine, and here's a pretty good set I picked up I thought might be of interest. So this is from Fisher Space Pen, probably late 70s, early 80s. It's a little bit hard to tell. Fisher doesn't have a really great online catalog, and people haven't really become historians of the brand in the same way people would have of, like, say, Parker or Mont Blanc or some of the other pens. So it's a little bit hard to sort through their backstory. But it's a pen and pencil set. It's a retractable ballpoint. It's definitely not, an AG7 or CH4 or anything like that. It's a little bit locked up there. Yeah, but it's not an AG7 or CH4 or any of their mainline pens. Retractable ballpoint. Doesn't have that sort of side release that most of their famous ballpoints have. And this is a 0.9 millimeter mechanical pencil. It's a twist style, so you twist this little front piece here. It's a little bit awkward, but perhaps somewhat elegant as well. Matching set. Again, I don't know the model name, but I got it online, got a really good deal on it, so I thought it'd be worth talking through. Here's the box it's shipped in. So it's a nice gift box. It says Fisher, and the Fisher sort of futuristic italicized font there. This is metal, which is like really classy. These companies, almost no one does a gift box like this anymore, but if you buy used pens that are in really good condition, a lot of times you'll see this style gift box where it's some sort of fancy paper with a nice metal edge to it. Quite cool, super classy. I mean, look at that like joint on the metal edge of the gift box. Really well done. And just, even the inside is that nice embossed paper or cardboard or what have you. It's not leather, it looks like leather. And then you have this kind of standard faux velvet. The elastic, of course, is worn out. It's 30, 40 years old. No instructions. It's a little bit of a bummer. Sometimes when you get a really nice box like this, it'll have the instructions or the warranty information or some basic information. Sometimes a mail-in, like how to get a new refill, and you can mail it in to an address that's been, out of use for 30 years, whatever. And anyway, here's the pen itself. Long vertical lines. Kind of reminds me of a Parker more than it does a Fisher, but it is definitely a Fisher. Here we see it says Fisher, USA. I guess there's a little ... USA ... and then rhodium plate. Not rhodium plated or anything like that, just rhodium plate. So this coating is, I guess, rhodium. I would have guessed it was just a nickel plated, like a chromed, but it's rhodium, which is quite nice. It has a really nice shine, and clearly it didn't, over the years, there's no tarnish here. Again, a stainless steel wouldn't have tarnished either, but or a chrome nickel plated wouldn't really have tarnished so much either. But the rhodium, I think, has held up really well. Those lines extend down almost to the end, which is quite cool. They're really well done. It's a nice pen. It's not as heavy as you'd expect. I would have thought it had a little bit of extra weight to it, but it's pretty nice. The clip, I would say, is a little bit disappointing. It's just a bent steel clip. And you could see right here where it's sort of like lifted a little bit. And clearly there's 1, 2, probably 3 little attachment pieces. And what they do is they push it in and they fold it around. So basically the prongs from this clip go inside the metal here and they fold it on. It's one way to do, it's like an economical way to do a stainless steel or a sprung steel clip. It's not really the nicest way. And you could see how this piece here is actually just folded back. So basically you could like stamp out the clip, then you get a machine to fold it a couple times and it goes on there. It's, again, pretty nice looking clip. Has a little kind of bent angle there. So it's not fully as cheap as it could be, but it's definitely some corners feel like they were cut there. Click mechanism is a little bit disappointing. It's kind of mushy and worn out with age, and then it has been getting caught here. But if you put a little bit of pressure, it's fine. So it probably just needs a little bit of lube in there, or maybe it has some gunk from over the years. Hard to say. Unscrew this, which is nice. It's always preferable to see a screw off design instead of a friction fit. Here's the refill. When I bought this pen, I didn't pay a lot for it, but I was really disappointed to see that there was no date on this. Ideally, you'd like to see some sort of dating on the Fisher refills because they had printed the dates on here basically since as long as I've known. As long as Fisher has been making these refills, I think they've had printed the dates on it. So you could look at the refill and be like, oh, wow, this pen's from 1979 or what have you. Here, it looks like this, I guess it's copper or brass. It's hard to say. It looks like copper, but I would imagine it's brass. Has tarnished, and you could actually see, that is almost a perfect fingerprint. Someone touched this with oily hands probably 30 years ago, and it tarnished. You can see it right here. Right, let's see if we can make it out. That little green area is almost a perfect fingerprint, and you could probably just make it out how that like green tarnish is a print from someone's finger. Anyway, no date here. The refill still works though, which is quite cool. This is definitely a testament to how good these Fisher ballpoint refills work up. This is, I'm almost sure it's an original refill, which means it's probably getting on 40 years old right now, and it still works. So this is a Fisher space pen. It's a blue refill. Blue medium point Fisher refill. It's almost a blue-black, which I'm not even sure that Fisher made, but you can see right there. Like in some lights, I really thought it was black, but in these photography lights, I am pretty sure it's a blue. Again, maybe Fisher did make a blue-black for some time, who knows? But it still writes, which is really, really quite cool. And then moving on to the pencil, I would say this is less interesting of the two because I've used pencils a lot like this one before. So I'm not sure if Fisher specifically manufactured these two or they just got someone else's design and they put their name on it and put their refill in it. Fisher doesn't, for now, I think they manufacture all their own pens except for the ones that are co-branded with Write in the Rain. But for a time, I believe they were outsourcing some degree of them. This might have been an outsourced one. So also those long striations, quite nice, have held up really well. Same stamped clip, and you can see really better here how it would have those prongs that go into this body and then are folded in. Here are some kind of unsightly little lines where the different pieces inside are held into the body, and just by being pinched, they pinch this, they create something for this piece to grab onto or to screw into probably. And it's, again, pretty unsightly, so a little bit lazy, clearly a cost-cutting measure. This pencil, that's a 0.9 millimeter lead, so definitely on the thicker side. And to extend it, you'd think you turn this piece, or you push this piece, but you definitely don't. You turn this tiny little piece here, and it's really skinny. And there is some knurling here, but it's quite light, so it can be hard to turn this, especially if your hands are cold or you're in the cold. So it's definitely not a rugged pen. This is a rugged pencil. This is an executive style or kind of a gifty pencil, and the box probably gives that away. It does work, and here we have some of that original 0.9 millimeter lead. It's probably, I would guess HB. It could be hard to eyeball these things, but vintage pencil lead, pretty cool. It definitely does still work, probably not surprisingly. This goes back too, which is nice. Some of these designs, they go forward, but when you turn it back, it doesn't pull back in. It just sort of sits there and you have to push it back in. No problems there. It's a little bit of a grind here. This thing feels like it maybe had some garbage collected in it over the years. Could use a little bit of lubricant or something in there. You could pull this top piece off or, unscrew it. And you can see it's a really wide thread. So clearly these lines right here are being used to for that thread to go on, which is fine. It's, you know, it functions fine, but again, pretty ugly to have to clamp into the body of the pen like that in order to give something for these threads to work. It is all metal, which is nice. No eraser here, so there's no eraser here. It looks like it should house an eraser, but it doesn't. Clearly it's hollow. And then here, there's nothing there. You just make out those little clips I was talking about, where that hold, sorry, those little tabs that hold the clip in. You see them bent into shape right there. And then no eraser or anything in there. Just some short and fat pieces of lead from back in the day. So I'm not sure the model name of this pen, or if it even had this pen and pencil set, if it even had a model name, but it's pretty cool pickup. Of the many brands available, I think Fisher has one of the more interesting set of historic pens. They just have some really cool pens. I'm not sure this is a particularly notable one, but it's one of my favorite of the vintage pens to collect. I think Fisher just has a really interesting backstory and has a lot of high quality pens. And they're not as really sought after as, say, a Parker or a Mont Blanc, or even some of the Japanese brands. They're like Pilot. They're older pens, or they really go for some high prices. So I think Fisher is a really sweet spot between high quality, interesting history, and a good availability. So pretty cool pickup. I'm glad I got it. Maybe not one that's going straight into the museum anytime soon, but it's fun to use, and it was pretty affordable. So thanks for watching.